Well, there it is.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Wow.
Take quarterback Michael Penix Jr.
As I said a little bit earlier,
Oh
there
my
are teams
gosh.
in the NFL who would be willing to take Michael Penix Jr. in the top 10. And the Atlanta Falcons are one of them.
Including teams that just spend a boatload of money on a
When
quarterback.
can you get out of Kirk Cousins' deal?
Wow.
What?
This is BPA, baby. This is how you do it. Keep drafting your QBs.
This is wild.
Whoa. What, somebody look this up. When can they get out of Kirk Cousins'
I think
deal?
it's like a 2-year.
Because I thought it's at least a 2-year deal,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at Penix, and you're not starting him until year 3 of his rookie contract?
This is no longer a chalk draft.
No, it's not. That's
Holy
every mock
smokes.
draft. Before, most of them were intact. Every one of them just got broken by that pick.
As you can see, the Falcons really loved Michael Penix Jr.
Yes.
All right. I'm not breaking any confidentiality here. They loved him enough that they had just signed Kirk Cousins. Still took Michael Penix Jr. We actually, so what is this strategy? We talk about teams doing this all the time. Keep drafting quarterbacks, keep having them. You got Kirk Cousins for a couple years. The whole, do you sit a quarterback? Well, Michael Penix Jr. is going to sit. He's going to sit, and maybe by year 3, now you reset.
Holy cow.
And you got the rookie contract quarterback. That's Michael Penix Jr. They loved him.
I mean, here's the thing. So we talked about this before, right? Everyone talks about quarterbacks in consensus terms, right? The quarterback order was Caleb Williams, then Jaden Daniels, then Drake May, then J.J. McCarthy, number 4. That's not how each individual team is going to have those quarterbacks ordered. And the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, they've taken Michael Penix Jr. as QB4. I know they had him ranked higher than that, or at least somebody in that building did. And that's what they're doing. Like, this is a value pick for Atlanta. They think they're getting one of the top quarterbacks in this draft at the 8th overall pick. And look, Cousins is 35 years old coming off an Achilles. Okay, you've got him for 2 years, but this is a succession plan now for a regime that expects to be there long term.
I said this before free agency kicked off. I think Arthur Blank's sick of it at the quarterback position, right? Because they botched it with Deshaun Watson, and because of that, they lost out on a franchise legend like Matt Ryan. They pissed off Matt Ryan, and he got out of town. He's like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. They then went, okay, bridge quarterback Marcus Mariota. Okay, we'll draft Desmond Ridder. That didn't really work out either. Taylor Heineke, we got him on the roster. And I think Arthur Blank went into this offseason and said, I'm sick of it. I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this again ever. And they go out and they spend a ton of money on Kirk Cousins. And I think that's what empowers this team, or maybe even motivates this team, to go draft Michael Penix at number 8 overall as well, because he said, I'm already setting up the plan. We're not going through this again where, okay, we've got an aging quarterback. Maybe he'll be out of there before we thought. Maybe we won't have a plan B. We're getting plan B way before we ever need it. And I genuinely think that's kind of how we got to this point with the Falcons, is Arthur Blank never wanted to deal with what he dealt with over the last 2 years ever again.
So it's not quite unprecedented, but you have to go back a long way to find this kind of, like, this is more of a statement than the Jordan Love pick, right? Which was Rodgers coming to the end, and that was a low first-round pick. Okay, they traded up to get that, right? So it's getting there, but it's a bigger statement than the Jordan Love pick. It's going back like pretty deep into the ether.
I think there's so the analytical idea here too is we've talked a lot at PFF about what if you just drafted more quarterbacks than you should? What if you did draft quarterbacks in uncomfortable spots? And the most recent example was probably the Packers, like the closest thing, which was the Packers may have sacrificed, and they're not one player away from a Super Bowl, but like a Super Bowl run, right? Getting another receiver, another offensive playmaker for Aaron Rodgers for the future. And if you continue to make these decisions and always had QBs in the queue, so when you say never again, Trevor, this assures that 2 years from now, when they can get out of Cousins' contract, they don't have to deal with, theoretically, they don't have to deal with it again because they've got the next guy up. So they don't have to go to free agency and spend on another one. They've got the next guy up.
Right.
And what you're sacrificing is the best defensive player in the draft, your top defensive player, or another big-time playmaker to make sure that you're in a good shape in 2 years.
And remember, for most of last season, a lot of people were asking the question, like, have Green Bay solved quarterback evaluation? Like, is the answer to specifically draft these guys, knowing they're going to be sitting for 2 years, developing from the sideline, and then you put them out onto the field, and you get the next guy, and you go Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer, right? And okay, that's clearly too reductive, and it's simplifying it too much. But maybe that is genuinely the answer, that if we take a quarterback, sit him for 2 years, and then put him out there, like, I don't think anybody looks at Michael Penix Jr. and says he has no chance of being the guy. And if 2 years sitting behind Kirk Cousins, who, whatever you think about Cousins, he's one of the smarter quarterbacks in the league. He knows how to be a top-tier quarterback. I mean, it must give them the best possible chance of succeeding beyond Kirk Cousins. Obviously at the expense of, well, you could have had a guy that would make an impact tomorrow.
So you have a little downside. The guy's had 2 ACL surgeries, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have the deep ball champion of college football. Over whatever it was, 1,700 yards throwing deep. He threw for 4,600 to set the school record, came back with 4,900, but for a game against arguably the best defense in college football in Michigan, and didn't look so great in that one. But here we go, right? This is one that is a franchise changing, developing, whatever you want to say. But if you want to believe in analytics, this is the right move. If you think he's the next best quarterback and you've got 2-3 years max on a quarterback, now you can go develop this guy. You wonder how long that is, though, because you're talking about, to win championships, you need to be on that rookie contract.
Right.
And if you are just planning on Kirk Cousins for 2 years, you just hatcheted off half of the availability of that, right?
I mean, look, there's an element of this that Kirk Cousins was an expensive hedge to make sure that they got their guy, which is Michael Penix Jr. So fascinating move by the Falcons.